Check this out. My credit card is missing again. Today, I'm telling you the story of how I went to the shelter for a normal puppy, but brought home a literal criminal mastermind. You're gonna see our whole journey, from the first time we met to the moment he tried to steal my car keys. This video is a total battle of wits between me and my fox. I've got my GoPro strapped right to my head, so you'll see all his sneaky tricks from a first-person view. We're in for a crazy chase when the grumpy Captain Bogo shows up with animal control. You won't believe the lengths this fox will go to wiggle out of trouble. Make sure to stick around until the end. The finale is absolutely wild. Hit that subscribe button right now if you think I can actually train him. Or drop a like if you're sure Nick is gonna outsmart me. Let's go. It all started at this weird, sketchy shelter on the edge of town. I was looking for a corgi, but then I saw him in the darkest cage. A little red fox with huge, innocent green eyes. He looked so abandoned and cute. The shelter worker gave me this weird smirk when he handed him over, saying, "Take him, he's free, just don't come complaining to me later." I brought him home, bought the softest bed and a ton of toys. That evening, I was sitting on the couch doing the whole baby talk thing with him. The fox just chilled in his bed, totally silent, watching my every move. It was like he was casing the joint. But by the third night, things got weird. All the blueberries disappeared from the fridge, and someone used my laptop to Google how to crack a safe. This was just the beginning of the nightmare that was about to break loose. Shh! Do you hear that clinking sound in the kitchen? I'm tiptoeing in with the GoPro, and what do I see? It's only been a couple of weeks, and my poor little pet is all grown up. And he's not just big, he's turned into a smooth-talking, full-grown fox. This guy is standing on his hind legs, wearing a green Hawaiian shirt, and professionally counting the loose change from my piggy bank. It's official. I'm living with Nick Wilde. He looked at me, totally unbothered, and said, "What are you staring at, Lexi? Rent isn't cheap these days." He immediately started calling the shots. When I tried to put a collar on him, he laughed in my face, and then managed to sell that exact collar to the neighbor's sheep for $10 that same night. Things were getting risky, so I had to lock all my valuables in a safe. I thought I finally had things under control, but a new discovery in the bathroom seriously freaked me out. The apartment turned into total chaos. Nick basically decided he was the boss here. I was now living with a professional con artist, and it was pure madness. There were popsicle sticks everywhere, and he turned my bathroom into a full-on underground popsicle factory. I was honestly scared that one day he was just going to rob me blind. I tried to yell at him, but Nick would just lazily adjust his tie and ignore me. All the while, complaints from scammed neighbors kept pouring in. But that wasn't even the most dangerous part. Real danger was closing in from the outside. You'll find out what happened next, in just a bit. To try and make peace, I set up a massive lunch. First, I offered Nick some premium dog food. He just snorted in disgust, pushed the bowl back to me, and gestured like, "You eat it." But when I ordered a giant blueberry pie and brewed some expensive coffee, the fox inhaled the whole thing in seconds and licked his lips. For dessert, I brought out a box of fresh blueberries. The food actually worked. He chilled out and even let me sit next to him on the couch. I was so happy we were finally calling a truce, but then I realized something. This fox was just lowering my guard. You'll see it for yourself next. All right, here's the crazy part. I forgot to lock the safe. Watch this. You're seeing the world through my eyes on the GoPro. Look, he grabbed my car keys. We're off. The wind is whistling in my ears as I sprint after Nick down the hallway. It's an insane feeling, trying to catch the fastest fox alive. He bolts for the door and bursts out into the stairwell. We're flying down the steps in perfect sync. And honestly, I think I'm actually starting to enjoy this game. Everything was going great until I saw a massive shadow by the front doors downstairs, and it definitely wasn't a neighbor. We managed to scramble back into the apartment to test our skills in a fair battle of wits. I hid the TV remote and told him he'd only get it back if he handed over the keys. Nick wasn't scared at all. He just pulled out his smartphone and used my smart home system to turn off all my lights. I tried to outsmart him by changing the Wi-Fi passwords, and he fired back by ordering a pizza on my dime. Eventually, we just got tired and collapsed on the rug to catch our breath. It felt like we had finally become friends and actual partners. But that moment was interrupted by a sharp knock on the door that sent chills down my spine. The trouble hunters were right outside. I knew the neighbors were mad about his scams, but I didn't think they'd call them. I looked through the peephole. It was an angry Captain Bogo and the guys from Animal Control. Someone snitched that there was a wild fox running scams in the building. We had to leave immediately, but the enemies were too fast. They started breaking down the door. I stood my ground at the entrance to distract them and give Nick time to escape through the window and down the tree. I was screaming at Captain Bogo, bravely defending my friend, but a capture net flew right through the window and snagged Nick. I watched them lock him in a tiny metal crate and carry him to the van. I rushed out in a rage to help, trying to prove he has rights, but they threatened to arrest me. All I could do was watch the van drive away, not knowing if I'd ever see my sneaky fox again. When I walked back into the empty apartment, I realized I wasn't giving up. I headed straight for the animal control base to rescue my friend. That night, I snuck up to the fence of the impound lot, where a huge guard was watching the building. Looking through a window, I spotted Nick looking all depressed in a cage. And that's when we clicked like a real team. I distracted the guard by knocking over a trash can, and Nick, he pulled out a bobby pin he'd swiped from me that morning and picked his cage lock in 3 seconds. Total criminal mastermind mode. He slipped out of the cage like a shadow. With one move, Nick opened all the neighboring raccoon cages to create total chaos. Together we wrecked the place while the guard ran around the yard in a panic. We hopped the fence, but the hardest choice was still waiting for us. After all that madness, we couldn't go back to the apartment. We sat on the roof of a nearby building, and I could tell by his sly eyes that we had really bonded. Nick proved he was a loyal ally who never leaves his people behind. But I knew the truth. He was never going to be a normal pet. He needs his freedom and a big playground for his business ideas. Nick adjusted his tie, held out a paw, and we shook hands like equal partners. He gave my GoPro a wink, grabbed my last slice of pizza, and melted into the night city. It was an adventure I will never forget. Guys, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. Let me know in the comments who I should bring home from the shelter next, because I already have my eye on a very suspicious looking bunny cop over there. See ya.